Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome all. First session of the week after the weekend for the week commencing the 18th of November. Couple of weeks to go before we officially enter the Christmas season. If you could give me a quick sound check, please. Let me know I'm coming through loud and clear. That'd be great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I hope you're doing well, guys. I appreciate many of you will be getting this on catch up after work and holidays and stuff like that later on. First of all, I wanted to give a quick roundup of our cryptocurrencies and what's going on there. I say I don't know if you guys decided to jump in with me on any of these things back in the day. Interestingly enough, H-bar, look at this. Currently one of the best performers and has historically been one of our worst performers. It's up over 120% over the last 2 weeks. It's been phenomenal. Bearing in mind, we bought in back here and possibly up there. We had this incredible gain due to some misinformation from the head of H-bar, which then ended up in a cataclysmic sort of decline back down to these lows at around 4 and 5,000. That's 0.0s. And then we ended up bouncing up again after some pretty decent fundamentals. And we're currently trading at 0.116, which is amazing. The rest of the crypto assets at the moment are kind of at break even this week so far. Obviously, we are only on Monday. We've got a long way to go. But yeah, it's been pretty break even. I think Bonks are our worst performer here, minus 5.36% so far after forming a new all-time high, which was up at 5,667. That one's coming down at the moment. I mean, just as much as these things really do rally exceptionally well, they do come down just as fast as well. So it's really about trying to stay quite, I would say, quite calm. Keep a good investor's mentality, which is just patience. We're not going to be looking to get out of the market at any of these highs at the moment. It's really about sticking to it and holding on for dear life for a good few years. So yeah, that's that. In terms of can I do this from here? I wonder. Hold up. Yeah, so that's no, that's not what I was aiming for. Hang on a minute, guys. Yeah, no, don't worry about that. That's fine. Yeah, so that's where we are at the moment. Everything's I say almost everything apart from Zeta, which is down at the bottom. Everything's doing quite well. WIF's come down quite a lot. Bonk's obviously done incredibly well, but is in pullback mode. Jupiter is kind of gradually increasing. It's in a bullish trend, but there's nothing to really shout about there. Solana has been really good. Currently trading at 240. It's having a bit of a pullback at the moment, or a contractionary cycle, not a major pullback by any stretch. But we're almost up at the all-time highs. The all-time high of Solana is currently trading at 250. Was trading at 259.92. We're currently trading at 240.76, and this looks like it wants to continue going as well after we've broken free of the pennant that we had on the daily time frame. So if we can break liquidity up at around 270, up and away from there. The big one, obviously, BTC, currently trading at 89.8027, which is ridiculously good. The all-time high in BTC now is 93,472.65. Incredible. Massive jump up there. Currently having a bit of a rest at the moment. This was a huge point of liquidity for it to break and close above, but I can't see it coming all the way back down anytime soon to retest. It will be interesting to see if we start to break the bottom of the pennant that we're currently trading in at the moment. You guys may struggle to see or may not. Let me just draw it out for you. So we've got this and this. So that's basically like the pennant that we're currently trading in there. So if we break through the floor or break through the high, we could. Like, it's insane to say it. I mean, at the end of the week, we could be looking at maybe 104,000 for BTC. If it breaks through the base of the pennant, then we could be looking back down at around 80 to 76,000. So it's really our decision point at the moment. All we can see from the current information is that this current candlestick has hit a contractionary point quite sharply, coming away from that 92 points. So 92,257 was hit. We've now come quite sharply away, and we're currently still seeing a bit of bearish sort of pressure in the market there at the moment for Bitcoin as well. Meanwhile, DXY, our trusty dollar index, is trading up at 106,614 after a monumental breakout of the structural point last week. We can look at on the daily time frame. It just literally rallied straight the way through, following a price action pullback from that descending level, and is now having another minor price action pullback, also looking as though it's retesting this point in here, technically speaking. So we could look at a break of structure at around 107.092 for continued bullish momentum, and possibly see, I don't think it's even a possibility, I think we'll probably will see 107.50 be achieved, which is the next point up. And then if we break through that area, we'll be then looking to see the continuation. And the next point of continuation is it's all the way back up at 109.50. So it does have the room to really go for it, so long as we can break through this next technical sort of point here of liquidity at 107.50, and then we can get going up from there. So then, having a quick scan at the fundamentals this week, I did actually do some social posts on this morning. In terms of the impact scale that I would I kind of use, I guess, to indicate whether or not we're going to see a relatively strong impact from news catalysts in the week. This week is not. It's looking very, very quiet. In essence, we have the base inflation rate for the United Kingdom, Japan, and Canada, I believe, is on Tuesday somewhere. Yes, there. So those are the three nations we have the base inflation rate for. Obviously, the UK is looking at slightly increased inflation, but that's going to be at 7 a.m. in the morning. So not really impactful to us in our trading hours. Excuse me, just sucking down a coffee. We've also got the inflation rate for the Japanese yen, which again is taking place at 11:30 p.m. GMT in UK time, which means it's also not impactful to our trading hours. And then the first one, which is on Tuesday, is Canada. And frankly, guys, at 1:30 in the afternoon, I really doubt I'm going to be trading anything to do with the CAD. And their inflation rate is looking at a 0.3% increase to 1.9%. Now, we may see some of our pairs that have triggered from today if we get that far down. Looking at some of the Canadian dollar crosses that we trade, we might be in one at that point in time. But generally speaking, guys, that's as volatile as it gets. So we've got retail sales out on Friday for the United Kingdom. Again, that's only the monthly one as well. It's not even the annual data for that one. So that's going to be pretty damn slow. And we just don't really have anything it's going to be the driving force behind the price action. So we're looking at really organic trading volume this week. Now, that does mean that we can load up on positions without the risk or fear of getting whipsawed out of anything. That is one thing. That's the plus side. The negative side of that, of course, is the time of year. We've physically seen a real big downtick in trading volume. We've looked at the VIX volatility index. It's at really low levels at the moment. I think the last time we looked at it, it was like 12. And in order to get some decent volatility through in the markets, you want to be trading at around 20 to 25. So it probably will be slow. I don't want to set our mentality up for, great, another slow week, but all of the actual indicators are leading to that bias. So we're just going to have to play things real carefully. I think what we're going to be doing is looking for smaller time duration trades. So for example, if we go over to the ICM fund basket and we're looking at, say, a trade in the pound CAD, which lo and behold has just been ranging for days now. But if we do look at a trading setup like this, instead of going for the longer term play, so possibly looking at this GC thinking that we could get a completion upon a break of structure there down to here, I think instead of doing that kind of thing, I'm actually going to be this week and probably for the remainder of the year looking to trade much, much smaller setups. So more like something like this, for example. I'm not actually going to take this trade, by the way, team. This is just for an example's sake. But, something like that, for example. So we're not really going to be looking to lose much off the top of our risk reward, although the chances are we probably will be seeing a bit of a decline. But we're just looking to decrease the time spent in the market significantly so. So break a structure, target this low rather than this low down here, even though that setup makes perfect sense. This is more about being in and out of the market in such a time where we don't need to wait for things to play out. And so therefore leaving ourselves exposed for that period of time, if that makes sense. Good afternoon, Scotty, and good afternoon, Nadia. Good to see you guys. So yeah, we're going to be just following on from last week's session. It's really about adapting to the current market dynamics and what we're seeing coming through. So let's just remove that, by the way. That's not necessarily a trade idea I'm actually wanting to take. We'll start from the top after we have a quick scan at things going on. So change percentage at the moment, our top loser at the moment is the Japanese yen, as you can see, against the euro, Swiss and the CAD. It's come down quite fast. The Japanese yen is looking quite weak. In terms of the top gainer at the moment, the Swiss euro is probably at the top 2 points. Swiss against the yen, Swiss against the NZD. We've also got the euro yen, the euro NZD at the moment. So they're doing quite well. I would say the pound is actually doing quite well as well against the yen and the NZD. Yen and the NZD, obviously the two weakest currencies, but the pound is doing all right. It's actually even pushing off against things like the Australian dollar as well, which isn't actually too weak in itself. So it gives us a kind of trading bias, I suppose. Thinking about the stocks at the moment as well, if we look at percent change, hang on a minute. So let's go to daily. So daily at the moment, and the sectors to get the week off are looking pretty bad. We've got finance at the moment, which is kind of break even. We're looking at just a slight downtick, uptick across most of the assets in this basket, but most of the baskets in general are down. Tech services, health tech, producer manufacturing, health services, transport, minerals, consumer, retail, and electronic technologies are all in the red. We've got utilities and process industries, which is looking okay. Probably not even process industries actually, but utilities is looking quite good at the moment. Everything else is pretty much down. If we just have a quick scan over at the UK FTSE. UK FTSE at the moment, as we can see, is quite break even. Not really too much change here. It's all within a marginal difference of the open. So -3, +3, -4, +4 kind of differences at the moment. So we're not really seeing too much driving through in those European stocks at the moment. Although, that all being said, this morning, I don't know if you guys were around because it was pretty dead in the trading room when I got to the charts this morning. But we managed to get a really nice DAX short, which was a little beauty. I saw this one setting up for a while here. Nice sort of margin to trade between these 2 points of interest here. And we got the breaker structure trade for a 1 to 2.52. So that was really nice. And yeah, that pretty much was a straight shot. We had a bit of a bounce after the open, but then it just went all the way straight down to the target profit. So that was a nice way to start the week, and we will be utilizing that 0.6% odd that we took from that one in our afternoon trades. So if you did take it, great. If you weren't here, then I guess you snooze, you lose. I'm only playing. Everyone needs to lay in. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment on that one. So let's go from the top of the list then. Have a look at what's occurring. So corn, first and foremost, has had a really nice move over the last week. We did get this beautiful big sell-off on Thursday, consolidation through Friday, big rally Friday afternoon, and now we're coming back to here. Now, we've had the beginning of a sell-off, and I would like to say that this is not actually an incorrect place for the market to start selling off there because of the fact that we've come up to this point. So just because it didn't reach the big one doesn't mean that this isn't a good place to consider selling into it. Now, we've also, bless me, we've also got this point in here where the price line is right now. Okay, so the beginning of this big inflection point, and we've got this really nice big price action pullback down to this point here. So if I drag that straight the way across, and just in the same nature as what I was talking about, with the pound CAD example, this is a relatively decent trading opportunity that we've got ourselves here. I don't want to be thinking about taking the market all the way back down to, say, for example, this point or this low, which is the big one, which is probably where it's going to end up going. But I'm actually going to be happy just by simply taking it down to there. Now, if I get a decent breaker structure point, which is going to be off the top of that area in there, then short below, target is there, and our stop loss is going to be about there. And that's going to yield a 1 to 2.42. And that's what I want to go for. So first of all, second trade of the week, corn, short. Next up, natural gas. So natural gas had a big gap upon the open. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do quickly. Just on feedback from someone very wise, is I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to put it in there. And then you guys are going to be A-OK for the trades that are going on. Okay, good stuff. Right, let's have a look. So, that's the first one. Second, natural gas. So, really nice big gap over the weekend. Has been coming down ever so slowly to fill the gap since the market's been churning and burning. I think to see a gap fill would be nice. We've got a pretty decent breaker structure point for this one as well. Makes sense. And we've got a relatively good target profit. And because I'm only looking for the market to fill the gap and then it continues trading. So then I'll be looking for the gap fill to come down to around 262. And so therefore the trade idea would be a short below that point there to this point here with a stop loss at 2,715 for a 1 to 2.5. And all we're doing here is we're simply filling the gap. And there's a really nice bit of evidence here to suggest that this is going to go well as well, so long as we get the trade in the basket successfully. So that's another one. So I'm going to instantly take it from there, head over and pop it in there, just like that. I wonder why that looks different. Oh. Copy link, copy image. Hang on a minute. I'm having to play around here, deciding which one looks best. Okay, so that's the one that looks best. Okay, right, see you later. That can go. Okay, so that's the second one up. So natural gas potential short. Now we've got some pretty direct biases here at the moment, but I don't want to long natural gas from this current area, and I won't need to today anyway. I won't even need to worry about that. So that's just what I'm going to go for this afternoon. So then on to UK Brent. UK Brent at the moment, a couple of nice margins to look at trading. I won't necessarily be looking at taking the full margin in light of everything that's been discussed this morning. I'm actually going to be looking at the kind of level that I would probably utilize for a breaker structure if I were to take a short. In fact, I'd probably make this even wider and have that there. Yeah. So then the breaker structure point for the long is naturally going to be pretty much where that one is already, isn't it? Yeah, so there, that's the breaker structure. And now this becomes my trading margin. So here I'm going to have the entry. I'm going to have the target. And I'm going to have the stop loss. And that's going to be another 1 to 2.5. So far, we're not actually seeing too much of a reduction in those risk-reward ratios. They're actually not doing too badly, are they? So that's going to be trade idea number 3, and that's going to be a long in UK Brent. So then, bang, stick that straight in the signals. There you go. Okay, so that's that. Now, in terms of shorts in UK Brent, again, we're at the major margin below. So I don't want to be thinking about shorts right now because the market's going to have to drop down at least another 1.5% before I even consider going short. So no need for a split bias on that one either. So let's head over to gold here. Unfortunately, gold is already well on its way. So what I'd be looking at here is then the retest and continuation for the long. This point here is the point of interest that I'd be utilizing, so the liquidity for my target. And I would be looking at price retesting this area and then getting going from there. Now, of course, if we look at this, guys. I mean, this is already 65% of the way to our target, isn't it? But if we do get a retest continuation of this level, then that's going to be the potential trade idea for that. And that's going to be a 1 to 2.65. So that's accounting for the price action to come back down, retest that point, and then go up from there. So that's what I'd be looking at. Now, based on this, I would almost be inclined to actually say, well, if we get the push up and then get a counter trend breaker structure from here, so let's say, for example, we come up from this point, reach liquidity, reject, and then come back down, I would actually be inclined to take a short in there as well. So the short breaker structure, wherever that may be, stop loss and target profit. Again, not looking for the target profit to be down at the major point of liquidity, but only the breaker structure point for the original trade. And that was yielding maybe a 1 to 2.6, 2.5, something like that. 50% stop loss, yeah. So that'd be something like that there as well. So again, no pending order availability on gold at the moment. It is very hands-on approach, but it's a good strategy. It's a good process. So that one's going to be in the blue. And we can just stick that straight into here so that you guys have got all the necessary information that you need. Okay, moving on. Aussie CAD. Right, what time are we on, guys? 1:52. That's fine. I've got to finish up pretty much bang on the 2 o'clock point today. So Aussie CAD. I'm not a fan. No, I'm not a fan of any of this price action, so I'm going to give that a miss. That is actually quite nice, isn't it? That's a really nice big point of liquidity down there. So therefore, what are we looking at here? Could this be the breaker structure point that we're waiting for? Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty nice, doesn't it? We've got a break close and a retest going on at the moment. We have got that point there, which has been problematic, hasn't it? Just recently, but that's at the median. So that's at the very sort of 50% point of the two margins. So I think this one's going to be a goer very soon. We've got a good, nice, weak Japanese yen. Australian dollar isn't necessarily that weak at the moment. And I'll be looking for the position of breaker structure above there. Now, I think, guys, that this is going to be too much exposure. I really do. I think that's too much of a trading margin to trade for the way the markets are at the moment. So I want to be looking for a more realistic, optimistic, or actually, more specifically, it would be unoptimistic, wouldn't it? Area for a target profit. So possibly in there, for example, because we have all of these lows. Most importantly, this one. And then we come across, we get this double retest of this point. So I would probably utilize that as a breaker structure if I was shorting. And this cuts down the time to target exposure. The stop loss for this trade idea can be a little bit more relaxed. I mean, at the end of the day, if we had a stop loss here, then we're looking at a 1 to 3.5, 1 to 3.8, which is just a bit too close to home for me. So I would actually much prefer go for, say, for example, the 1 to 2.1 and garner the additional defense. Right, so we've got that nice area in there. So yeah, okay, we have the breaker structure point inside the stop loss, which is this little one. But we also have the big point of liquidity in there as well. Now we don't allow for much margin below it. You know, we could go for a 1 to 2 bang on, and that would be our lot there. So that's going to be another trade idea. I like that one. I think that's pretty good. I think it's got legs. So I'm going to pop that into the UTC fund signals room for you. I'll put all the details for these trades in there after the stream, and I think I will probably make that a new process, because as said person who suggested I write down the details for the chat as I was going along, I think this kind of process is good. So that's going to be a long for the AJ. Right, how much time we got, guys? We've got 4 minutes. So I'm going to skip down now. We'll cover off the entirety of the FX basket tomorrow. What I'm going to do is focus on our US stock markets for this afternoon as well for the breakout. So, stock markets this afternoon for the breakout. Now, the European session was pretty good. We did have a good start to the day. It doesn't mean the US markets are going to follow suit. Apart from the odd occasion last week, we did tend to see a lot of consolidation. Some of the breakouts were almost as though they weren't even taking place. There were no breakouts. And the momentum actually started to really pick up in the latter half of the session after the US went to lunch and came back again. So we do need to be on point with the understanding of that. Now, where the NAS 100 is at this time, we've got a really nice point directly above price, and we also have a really nice point directly below price. So 1 and 2. So that in itself is a really decent trading margin. We also have another point of liquidity there. So I don't want to be taking a long in the NAS 100 from here. But I can certainly look at taking a series of other trades based on these parameters. Short does indeed look like the way forwards, but by building up the chart like this, we actually have a target for a long and we have 2 targets for a short. Now the only difference is on the short side is that we still have a half an hour to go for the market open, and we're currently trading at a breaker structure point right now. So this trade idea may trigger before we get a chance to take it. And that's fine if that's the case. I'm just going to put that in. So essentially, what I want to mark out here is the fact that this area, okay, is your no man's land. Okay, so inside the white box is the no man's land. Anything above the white box is long territory. So then we go backwards and we try and iron out a potential breaker structure point. There aren't really many good ones in here, but there is that area there. Okay, we do have these 2 fake outs, and the market did come back down, but it's the beginning of a price action pullback, and we have had multiple retests. They haven't been the most significant, but we're thinking about breakout volume here, breakout power. So what I'd be then looking for is the long target up there, stop loss about here for a 1 to 2.77. For the short, number 1, I'd be looking for entry, target, and stop loss about there. For short number 2, you have to be very aware of where you want your breaker structure point to be, possibly there based on the information we have at our disposal right now. We have our entry, our target, and our stop loss, which is going to be about there for 1 to 2.67. Okay, so these are our 3 proposed trade ideas for the NAS 100 breakout this afternoon. Just going to pop that in. So that's that. Okay, and then to conclude, the US 30 Dow Jones. Let's go to the 15-minute time frame. 15-minute time frame looks complete mess in comparison to the NAS 100. So I would say that this point here is a nice area, and it's not bad, but we've had a lot of wick throughs, which instantly gives it a pretty high risk profile in terms of the technical risk factor to it. Again, we don't have many fundamental catalysts today or this week, especially for the US, so we don't really run any risks there, but the technicals in the US 30 Dow Jones are of a risk. Now we have this point down here for a TP for a short, and we have that target up there for a TP for a long. And then what our job is in the middle here is to create the access points. The access points aren't great, and they're not great because of where price is trading already. So we have entry to the long, and we have the entry to the short. These are our two entry points, meaning that any space in between this white box here is your no man's land. So therefore the short down here, breaker structure, target profit, stop loss, and that's actually yielding a 1 to 4.34, which is a bit insane. So I'm going to go for a 1 to 3.5. It is pretty significant, isn't it? But that is the setup. That's what I want to take. You possibly could take it there, but I just don't think that's too much exposure anyway, looking at that move. And then we also have the long entry, the target profit, and our stop loss down there for a 1 to 3.6. So the Dow Jones 2 trading opportunities seriously are actually pretty good, but I would be very cautious about it. I think I would certainly be bringing down this zone to meet those two highs, in bringing that target down to a 1 to 3.34 just to be safe because of the market dynamics that we're trading in. And that's what I'm going to go for, team. That concludes what I'm looking at today. So I'm going to pop that in there so that everyone has access. There you go. Right, guys. Yeah, so I'm gonna call it there. Apologies for a bit of a sharp ending, but I have an appointment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a naughty boy today, and I'm actually going to set a load of pending orders based on certain parameters in the stocks, which I say naughty. It's not naughty, but it's just something that I don't tend to do. But I am going to get on and do that so that I can get out and not miss anything and possibly come back to a bunch of losses. But hey, there we go. So I wish you all a wonderful day today. Yeah, please post screenshots in the chat. Yeah, that's fine, buddy. Yep, no problem at all. It's all done and dusted in the UTC signals area. So have a good one, guys. I hope you have a fantastic day today. Good luck out there. I will be back at about 3:30 this afternoon. And if you've got any questions or anything you want, then please fire away and I'll get back to you then. If not, have a great day. Good luck in the session. And I look forward to catching up with you later. Cheers then. Bye-bye.